Welcome to Spotlight. I'm your host, Amitha. Join us weekly to hear from guests who will motivate us with their success stories. Our guest today is making the transition between the Indian and the Canadian educational systems easier. He's, in fact, a leader in the international education sector with experience in international business development. He's the director of South Asia Seneca International at Seneca College. It's an honor to welcome back to our show Mr. Prashant Srivastava. Hello, Prashant. Nice to have you back again.
Thank you, Amitha, and nice to meet virtually.
Yes, after a long time, and I mean, congratulations on all your achievements so far from since we last met. This time virtually, like you said. For the benefit of our viewers who are watching you for the first time, tell us a little bit more about your education, growing up, and how you came to Canada.
Sure. Thank you. So my journey in Canada it started as an international student. I grew up in India in a city called Lucknow, and then did my post-secondary education in Bachelor's of Engineering from Maharashtra. Lived in Kolhapur. Moved to Canada in 2002 as an international student to do my MBA in a very small city called Nanaimo on the Vancouver Islands, and that was an interesting like a life changer for me, coming from the hustle and bustle of India to a calm and quiet, very peaceful city of Nanaimo with only 80,000 people. So that was a transition, and then also the transition was with the education system. And that's how I started my journey in Canada as an international student in 2002. Lived on the island for a couple of years, and then started working in Vancouver. Later, got an opportunity to move back to India on a Canadian assignment, and then moved between Canada and India quite 2 to 3 times a year, and then lived in US, and then since 2014 living in Toronto.
Amazing. No wonder you're an expert in the international education sector. Now, this is great that you do have the background yourself as an international student. What were some of the challenges you may have faced?
So firstly, like as all students face from any of the country when they move to another country is the transitional challenges, and everything is different from lifestyle, food, and then the cultural aspect is the most different part of it, because in India the culture, mostly in the Asian countries, is so protective that things are done for you rather than you do yourself. So here, I would say the biggest transition was of doing things by myself, because I had so much dependency on my parents while growing up in India, and then on my peers, on my friends, on elders for any kind of guidance. And here in Canada, I would say the learning has been self-learning, and then definitely there is mentorship as well, but then those were the challenges, understanding the system here and how to work, how to live, and then study as well in a different settings.
Okay, understood. You have experience of both the systems. So if you look at the both the systems, the education system in India and the education system in Canada, you have told us about the challenges that may be some of the differences. What are some of the similarities you would say?
So similarities are with the law as well. Like for example, both countries are following common law, and with the British legacy, as well as that resembles in the in education sector in a way that we are able to understand what how the system would work here, but the delivery is different, as I mentioned earlier. But overall, from the foundation level, things are same, and more so between both the countries, the multicultural aspect of the ethos that bring us so much similar, as well as respect for all different cultures, religions, the tolerance. I think these all, I would say, would be the similarities between both the countries, and that resembles in the way of life as well.
Well said. So, like you mentioned, there was already foundation because there were some similarities, and then you build upon it and you adapted to what is different here in Canada. And right now, you are, like I mentioned, the director of South Asia at Seneca College. What does that role involve?
So before I will just reflect back to my whole journey, like my background in international education. So myself being in international education, when I went back to India, was an opportunity to open a Canadian office for Vancouver Island University, and the mandate was to promote Canadian education in India. At that time, things were pretty different because Canada was not a well-known entity in many of the provinces except the province of Punjab, which has historical ties with Canada. The number of students coming to Canada were significantly lower. So I traveled across India from different states like Maharashtra, from Kerala, from West Bengal. So that brought me also to a lot of learning of India's own diversity with 22 different languages and different way of doing business within the states, because I established the agency and the partner network and the MOUs with different universities for Vancouver Island University. So that gave me both a learning and understanding experience of India. And then when I moved to US on a different assignment, that again gave me an understanding of the US education system. And then I traveled across the Middle East, Asia, China, in different countries. So that again built a foundation of global education system and knowledge of different cultures and how we can be more respectful in the society as well. So that is what has built me here in Toronto, living in a city, in a multicultural city, working for Seneca College, where diversity and inclusion is the building blocks for us in work settings as well as in our all the international outreach. And this is what we have been doing here at Seneca, recruiting international students from more than 150 countries, actually. That is building to the diversity of the country, diversity of the city, and diversity of our institution.
Amazing. So you're part of that game changing plan to make this transition smoother with the expertise that you have actually internationally. So we want to find out more, but before that, it's time for a short break. Welcome back to Spotlight. We are talking to the director of South Asia at Seneca College as we discuss the Indian and the Canadian educational system. Let's welcome back Mr. Prashant Srivastava. So, Prashant, this is great. We have heard about how your journey has led to your expertise and your current role at Seneca College. Now, we know we are in unprecedented times over the past year with the COVID-19 pandemic. Can you give us your perspective about how this has affected the educational system, not just locally, but internationally?
Yeah, hi Amitha. Thank you for this question. And yes, it has been unprecedented time for all of us. And I would like to offer my condolences for all of them whom we have lost during this pandemic, and salute our frontline heroes. So with this, yes, COVID-19 has been a testing time for us. It has disturbed the whole journey for international students, because for us the mobility of international students, there is a dependency on the travel. But thanks to the technology that we were able to move to an online learning system, and also we are thankful to the Canadian government, which supported our online learning with the incentives to international students. Their time of education overseas will be accounted towards postgraduate work permit in Canada. That helped us to build not only the education component, and also kept the dream, the Canadian dream, alive among our international students, that once they complete this education, they will be able to come post COVID, or when the things ease they will be able to work in Canada, and that kept their Canadian dream alive. So we had a lot of challenges initially when COVID hit. Many of the students, they started differing their education to the next subsequent intake, but gradually we saw the reception among international students, that they came out of their silos and they adapted to the online learning. And today we have hundreds and thousands of students enrolled in online learning globally, and they are adapting to different time zones, as well as the faculty and the professors who are delivering education. They have done their outreach, they are reaching out to the student. Many of the lectures are being recorded, and then students can go through it at ease when they would like to do so in their time zones. So I think this has taught us the flexibility as well as adaptability, that how students have adapted and how institutions and the government, they became flexible in accommodating the needs of the students. So I would say that we all are in this together, and it's all the stakeholders and the whole ecosystem has supported now the journey of our international students.
Yeah, very well said, Prashant. I mean, yes, there's been a lot of adversity during this pandemic, but this is a shining example, coming together and finding that unified purpose and helping things move forward despite the restrictions and the lockdown. So this is great. I mean, it's great news for the education sector in general, where you sometimes worry about restrictions and lockdowns like these, putting a halt on it. And we worry about then the future, just about a future of the development of the country and globally, because education is such an important part. So you have told us generally about how the government is taking measures to, help the sector further. Now, if we go to Seneca College in particular, what programs have come into place to tackle the challenges?
So initially, when COVID-19 hit, we came with several measures as a response to COVID-19 at Seneca. Um, Means for helping international students in Canada, a lot of relief funds were contributed to international students, and several NGOs also donated to international students for groceries and supplies. As well as in Seneca, we have established vaccination center in partnership with North York Hospital, where now next steps are being taken for people to get vaccinated. As well as a lot of laptops were distributed. Over 9,000 laptops were distributed for students to meet their digital needs. So a lot of PPEs, supplies were distributed to the hospital. So Seneca as a community had come together as to help students and the overall people in Toronto and in GTA to be supportive and accommodative as well. In terms of education delivery, as I said, we moved towards the online delivery, and now with signs of reopening, we are giving our students options for flexible delivery, which we call, and it can be a combination of hybrid, which means some courses could be on campus with the help of technology. Still, students can take some classes online, and then again with the health guidelines, whichever courses would require on-campus components, for example, the lab work and practical activities that could be on campus. So these are the, I would say, measures which as a college, as an institution, Seneca has taken to address COVID-19.
That's great. So, our viewers watching us, I mean, they're watching us globally, and now they don't have to hesitate if they were even thinking about, coming into the Canadian educational system. So, where can they find more information?
So we have our website, senecacollege.ca, and / international would give them the information for the international page. And from there, they can get all the information of our programs which are open, and they can contact us. My email address after this program perhaps would be available. They can write to us in all possible ways. We are there to connect with them.
Amazing. So we have more to talk about, but before that, it's time for a short break. Welcome back to Spotlight. We are talking to Mr. Prashant Srivastava, Director of Seneca College's South Asia sector. So, Prashant, this is amazing news that the COVID 19 pandemic has not really stopped Seneca College from helping international students integrate into the system here and help them also integrate into the Canadian system. Now, moving forward, you yourself with your role, what is your long term vision, or what are some of the other upcoming projects that you're working on?
Sure. Thank you, Amita. Means we see that opportunities are endless in education sector, and with COVID has opened new door of online education. So we are giving students an option post COVID would be to come and study in Canada. At the same time, now there is a segment of students who will be willing to study online from their home countries with the comfort of living with their families and friends, not leaving the country. So that online education definitely is going to boom post COVID. And if you see the demographics of a country like India, which has the world's largest population of around 500 million in the age of 5 to 24, that itself gave us a big market size to capture, and there is a big appetite of education. And with the new education policy which has come in India, which talks about the reforms in the education sector. It came after 34 years. So in that, we are looking for more collaborations between Canada and India. Since the reforms are once implemented, they will bring the Indian education system pretty close to the way how Canadian education system or the US education system is. And that way students could have a seamless transfer. They can start their education in India, and then they can come to Canada or in the US for higher education. So we are seeing that there will be more opportunities of cooperation between Canada and India in the education sector, as well as continuing opportunities for Indian students to study in Canada. For example, as we speak, like there are over 220,000 Indian students, and the growth of Indian students in Canada has been phenomenal. So that is going to continue based on the demographic dividend which we see is in India for next 4 to 5 years.
Amazing. I mean, these new horizons are so promising. So, like you mentioned, those who wanted to maybe stay back home and continue with the system, there is that route they can take, or they can actually physically come into Canada and also take part in the system when things do open up. Speaking to that, actually, I know it might be a little bit early on, but I was wondering if you could comment a little bit about those who wanted to probably travel to Canada once the restrictions by the government lift. If you can give us a little bit insight about that, that is also somewhere in the near future.
Yeah, so COVID-19, as you know, situation is dynamic, and the whole now uh, this is a new norm of life. We are talking about now possible wave 3 and then wave 4 with this COVID situation. Even people, when they're fully vaccinated, they still have to practice social distancing and physical distancing measures to be safe actually and work. And there will be a sense of flexibility, as I mentioned, for education delivery. So for students who are coming here in Toronto, for example, after July 5th, if they're fully vaccinated, the government has announced measures that they may not have to go into the quarantine process. And as of now, the travel restrictions are there for India until July 21st for direct flights. So after that, we are seeing hopes that the normal flights between Canada and India will resume, and that will give students direct access to come to Canada. Having said that, students still have an option to come through the third country route to Canada. We, as an educational institution, we are not encouraging, and we are also not discouraging international students to travel because the measures announced by government are valid until December 31st of 2021 that students can study from their home countries and get the benefit of postgraduate work permit. But at the same time, if they have a keen desire and if there is a requirement for their specific program to be in Canada, by all means we are helping them, facilitating as they request travel letters or whatever way we can support them for their journey.
Well said. So, in the end, it's about working together with your local government officials. Seneca is going to help you in whatever way possible. So, carry your education forward in the safest way possible in cooperation with all the officials. This is such great news for everybody watching, Prashant. I mean, it sounds like you have a lot on your plate, doing so much you're doing despite what's happened over the past year, with the COVID-19. I wonder, do you have any time to relax and do something for yourself? How do you recuperate from all this stress that we have been having over the past year?
Yeah, it has been honestly challenging, and there is a fatigue with the Zoom and Teams meetings. The whole journey of digital transformation have made us more busier with our laptops and our phones. That we are online now, helping students. Even during the Christmas break, we were on our emergency duties to help international students as when needed. Actually, so for me, like I take time in the morning to get together with the small group of my friends to play tennis. So again, considering the guidelines by the government, we follow all the rules and regulations as such. So it has been mostly at home, staying home, but at sometimes when we have flexibility, going for a short walk in the nature, this is what we are up to, and we are trying to be connected with our families in India. It has been tough time with, so the COVID wave was devastating. We had so many people we lost. So we are now, I would say, in the recovery phase with COVID, and I hope the worst is over, and we are looking for good sunny days ahead.
Very well said. Staying positive, and this too shall pass if we work together. Well, Prashant, it's been a pleasure talking to you again, and thank you for updating us on what's been happening with the educational system since we last spoke. Do you have any final words for our viewers who are watching us?
Yeah, means thank you. So my final words for our international students is to keep the patience, perseverance, and keep their hope alive. Things will be on the improving side, and they can have a continuity in their education. So do not go for a break. Educational institutions are flexible. For example, we know that CBSE exams in India were postponed, so we came up with a option for students that they can apply with their predicted grades at Seneca on a temporary basis. So we will be willing to accommodate students, and we would love whatever we can do to have a continuity in the journey of education for our international students.
Thank you very much, Prashant. We wish you all the best, and we look forward to everything from Seneca for the international students.
Thank you, Amitha. Thank you so much.
So that was Mr. Prashant Srivastava, who has enlightened us today about the educational system in the face of COVID-19 pandemic. Well, that's a wrap for this week's show. Thank you for watching us. Continue to follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and write to us at spotlight@ethnicchannels.com. Until next week, this is Amitha signing off, encouraging you to support the educational systems globally.